Okay, let's do something different today. Walk with me. Writer's block. Does it really exist? Very early in my life I was introduced to this amazing concept that I think more children should be introduced to, that inspiration doesn't work like a spark, doesn't work like a matchstick. You gotta burn and then it's beautiful, but it's also gone. No, that inspiration could work like a river, like a flow, like a constant flow of information inside your brain. And this is very much how I experienced the world. I was an imaginative kid. If you ask me to create 1,000 stories, I could do it. 1,000 more, no problem. So I never really looked for the inspiration. I always thought that it was there, flowing, like it always did. It was not something, not this higher, complicated power that needed to be summoned. It was as easy as it gets. It was always inside of me. All I needed to do was to reach out. Later on I would become an artist. I would make games and make videos and write books. And of course, this was a useful ally to have by my side. The ability to have a constant flow of inspiration, to never run out of ideas. Fine, my ideas are not always great. Most ideas are crap, but at least they're flowing. And talking with other artists and other craftspeople of all sorts, I found out that this is not how a lot of people experience the world. People run out of ideas all the time. People won't try. People experience this thing that writers call the writer's block. And here's the thing, I believe that not believing in writer's block presents an advantage. It is just a better strategy. You will find less hurdles in your life if you just pretend it doesn't exist, even if it's false. So for many years I just didn't. I didn't believe it was a thing, or at the very least that it was not a thing that could affect me. That I was one of the blessed people that just wouldn't have any writer's block ever. Until it happened. And when it did happen, the way I am experiencing writer's block is very different from what I thought it would be. This is the general spiel. I started writing a book, which is, this YouTube channel is actually part of this process. I started writing a book and the ideas were pouring out of me, and it just gave me so much pleasure to do that, to put those ideas into the paper and to see those characters out of my imagination being manifested, somehow manifested into those pages. I could breathe life into them. I could create universes. And one of the themes in my book is how we can challenge our imaginations, how we can unchain our imagination. And I could feel this. I could feel it inside of me, that anything was possible when I was writing that book, that anything I could possibly imagine, I could also put in a page. It was a glorious sensation that I would recommend to every single human in the world. But then, and if you follow this channel for a little while, you will know that collapse happened. There was a moment this year of intense family trauma in my life. COVID-19 really hit us hard. We had 5 cases in the family. My grandpa, he didn't make it. And my dad was in the hospital, was in intensive care for 21 days. He got really close to dying. My life stopped. I couldn't work, I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think. All of my energy would go into do care work, calling my grandma who had just lost her partner of 60 years of marriage, and calling my dad with such a weak voice in him. And my dad is quite a solar person, it's quite like but he was so weak talking to me in that hospital bed. And then I would do this care work, and all the energy that remained in my body would be used for me try not to go insane. I was going crazy. I was sick with them. I didn't contract COVID-19, but I felt sick. That was the first moment I stopped writing. I gave myself a break. But honestly, I wasn't even thinking about writing at this very moment, because I stopped most things. I stopped my life. Had to take a little break. It was a bit too much. But then this moment passed. I mean, not completely, but my dad survived. He went back home. He's been home for a couple of weeks now. I went back to work, gingerly, step by step. People were very forgiving, so I would tell them, look, I'm definitely not 100% of my brain today, but I got 25, and they would be like, you know what, whatever percentage, just come as you are. And yeah, my life started going back to normal. I started doing the things that I do. I started refinding my pleasures and my pains in a more normal fashion compared to that intense moment of care work. And one of those things that came back was writing. And when I did, I realized that writing was different now. Metaphorically resonant rain, wonderful. Here's the thing, to me, writing produces emotional energy. It gives me energy, it nurtures me. But it doesn't do that without a cost. You need to have an initial emotional investment, and then the machine can keep on spinning. And honestly, it is a wonderful machine. Nobody could ever complain about that. You give it 1,000 precious stones and it gives you back 10,000 precious stones. It is just a good deal. But when you have no precious stones to give, you have this beautiful machine in front of you and nothing to do with it. And it's very frustrating. Suddenly, the thing that nurtured me, the thing that gave me energy, it was sucking energy out of me, because I would sit down and I would spend 2 hours without looking at my phone trying to write, and then I would write 50 words and I wouldn't trust those words. It was a dreadful experience. It's raining a lot. So for all purposes, I was experiencing writer's block. I couldn't deny it anymore. It was right in front of me. This is how it works, right? You sit down to write and nothing comes up. You summon your imagination, like, give me all this beauty that lives inside of you, and from this pipe comes nothing. I couldn't deny it. But I realized something that I think is very important about writer's block. And again, something that I wish somebody had told me before. I would have dealt with the whole situation better. So here's my preliminary conclusion. Writer's block is not a thing on its own. Writer's block is not a disease. Writer's block is not a condition on its own. Writer's block is but a symptom of another disease, of another condition. And now I understand that there are many ways, there are many situations that can provoke writer's block. In my case, it's quite evident. I am emotionally ravaged by this whole situation with my family, and I don't have the 1,000 precious stones to make my beautiful machine run. I just don't have it. I come there, you know, with 50 stones, and the machine is like, oh man, it's just not enough. But I can also see that many other conditions, and especially pandemic conditions, many situations that this pandemic creates might block your creativity, might block not your creativity, but your creation, the act of manifesting it. It's still inside of you. The inspiration is still flowing like a river, but you need to walk to the river and you are tied to a tree. There's a cruelty in this process, right? Because I need this. I need this writing to help me get the emotional energy that I so desperately crave and that I've been running so low on. But I need emotional energy to put in there so that I can get more. So it's a catch-22. My solution and my problem are the same, and I look at my beautiful machine and I know it's the solution to all my problems. I know it can give me all of the emotional resilience I'm craving for. But I just don't have the thing. It hurts, man. It really hurts. So here's the thing that happened this week. I wrote something. Normally I have at least 3 writing sprints every week, and by the end of a normal week I would have something between 4,500 words and 6,000 words. It's just, you know, without any editing, just pouring out the words. So last week, this week actually, I spent the whole week, the entirety of the week, and I wrote 1,000 words. Actually, not even 1,000 words. It was 939 words. That's all I could produce. And of course, this number felt ridiculous to me. This would be a first half of a sprint on a normal week, but at least I got somewhere. At least the machine accepted my mere 50 precious stones and gave me something, you know? But then I noticed something interesting. I left those words there, and then I came back to them a couple of days later, and I think those are the absolute best 939 words I've ever written in my life. Why? Was I filled with the inspiration and energy from all the pain I experienced? Was this some sort of a allergic reaction to not writing from my body? Did I have a more nuanced understanding of emotions after going through all that emotional trauma? I don't know. I have not the slightest clue. It was a different writing process. I felt like I was pushing against something. I felt I needed to make an effort. It was not like before. Before I felt like dancing in low gravity. It was magical. I was swirling around. Now it felt a little more like Sisyphus. Okay, let's push this block up this goddamn mountain. So what's gonna happen next? I have not the slightest clue. Everything's changing right now. Everything is not back to normal. That would be a horrible exaggeration, but more normal than before. And I experienced this both in a personal level. Like, my dad is home. My grandma was talking about dinner and computer problems the other day, and not about death. Things are a little more normal, and also on the external level as well. Like, I'm walking in a park. This is Hasenheide, which would be, the translation would be the bunny meadow. Which, like, walking in the park a couple of weeks ago was something unthinkable. Unthinkable. But now Germany has contained its corona cases, and some things are allowed, and this is one of them, and it gives me so much joy, so much energy. It gives me a little bit of that emotional energy that I need. That's why I'm here, actually. Videos also help. So I guess from now on, now especially, but from now on, every time I have some sort of creative impairment, I need to ask myself, fine, okay, this is the symptom, I can see it. Where's the disease? Where is the disease? Where's the real condition that is provoking this? And many times the best act I can do for my writing will not be about writing. It will be fixing the problem, fixing the disease. What is broken? It's not my ability to manifest language into a page. This is not broken. It's something else. Where is it? So maybe if you are experiencing this too, especially in those pandemic times, this is what I invite you to do as well. It's hard. It's bloody hard to be stuck at home, to not be able to hug. It's hard. I understand. If you can't write, that's okay, honestly. Give yourself a break and ask yourself, what is the true action that can give me the energy I need to manifest this? Is it really writing? It can be writing, but it can be something else. Do I need to scream into a pillow? Maybe you will write 4,000 words after screaming into a pillow. Thank you for accompanying me in this journey, this really wet journey, almost a sea voyage in the bunny meadow. It helps. You watching this video, it helps me get back that emotional energy that I so desperately need. It does. I love this YouTube thing. Thanks for being here with me. Guess for me, it's time to go home and try to write 939 words. Alright, see you next time. Ciao, ciao.